Hi guys, welcome to India's first and only series of webinars targeted at social media marketing and design for the web. This is your host Gursimran and I'm going to be hosting the first episode, which is called Influenced by the Influential. This episode is going to talk about how our social presence is greatly influenced by those who follow us or those we follow, especially if they are more influential than us. It's an interesting case study, and we'd be briefly going through it and trying to understand how our behavior is affected by the people around us. Now, I'd just like to ask you to begin with, do you think you would behave differently if somebody influential was following you? And do you think that you'd behave differently to get somebody influential to follow you? Any of the social networks like maybe Twitter or Facebook. I personally think that a lot of people are trying to get in touch with celebrities on Twitter, on Facebook, trying to reach out to them, trying to somehow connect to them because it's quite a kick to be getting a reply from someone who's famous, someone who could possibly be interested in what you're saying. I hunted up this list of Indian celebrities on Twitter, most of these, of course, being Bollywood personalities. The advantage that these people have is that their offline success is translated to their online success. So they have overnight become Twitter celebrities. So even if they have, as in the case of Deepika Padukone, even if they have, even if they have 500 odd tweets and they're just following 22 people, they still have over 17 lakh subscribers to their feed, so, which is wowsome to say the least. But we know why, because they have an offline fan following which translates into an online fan following, and there are all these people who are trying to get in touch with her, and all these people who are trying to reach out to her and trying to say something to her with this bubble of a hope that she might reply. So if you do a quick Twitter search for people who have tried reaching out to Deepika Padukone, all you do is go to the search bar, put Deepika's handle, which is @Deepika Padukone, and you get this whole array of tweets which have gone from her fan following or people who are randomly interested in what she does to her. And if you go to Deepika's own timeline, you'd notice that none of them are ever being replied to. So she is reaching out to some people, but incidentally, all these people are celebrities. They are all influential people. So the first thing that I'd like to talk about when we're talking about influenced by the influential is that we are far likely to reach out to those who are more influential than us to gain from the limelight of being related to them somehow on the social scape. Wow, something's really odd here. So similarly, let's say I was to reach out to Deepika Padukone and I was to have a dialogue with her, and for some odd reason she gets interested in what I have to say and she follows me. Now every time I tweet something, somewhere at the back of my head I'd have this odd feeling that every time I'm tweeting or every time I'm writing an update, Deepika Padukone ought to be seeing this, and what would she be thinking about it? Would she think I'm lame? Would she think I'm not good enough for her to continue following? Would she unfollow me eventually if I'm not able to gain her interest and keep it? So that's what I mean when I'm talking about being influenced by the influential, that when somebody that you're constantly trying to make a contact who is more influential than you, but as soon as you do it, it kind of changes the whole dynamic of how you are online. Now, if you were one of those I care not people, then you would probably not be trying to make a contact to begin with. But if you are the kind of person to who it makes a difference of who is on their list of followers, it would make a world of difference if you were to lose some of those important lists. So here is important contact. So here's a question for you. Would you rather have a following of 100 odd people who could be, random people off Twitter, bloggers, tweeters, retweeters, the regular crowd? Would you have probably 100 of those people? Would you rather have 100 of those people following you, or would you rather have one celebrity following you? What is it that would be life-changing for you in a single day on Twitter? A Deepika Padukone following you, or 100 of people like me and you following you? So do let me know that in the comments section. Now I'm going to talk about this interesting thing that kind of really bothered me yesterday, and I tweeted about it, but I really wanted to talk about it at length. Is how people leverage being in touch with influential people to kind of add to their own influence. So last night I was watching the social media webinar, which was with Guy Kawasaki and Mari Smith, and they were talking about, well, surprise, surprise, social media. And I came upon, and Guy Kawasaki was talking about this incident with Sir Richard Branson, the founder of Virgin. So Guy goes on to say, he says, one time I was in Moscow and Richard Branson was also speaking at the same conference that I was speaking. And later on, we're in a room and he asks me, Guy, what airlines do you fly? And Guy says, I don't know, he says Global Resource, something like that. And Richard says, oh, you don't fly Virgin? And he says, well, I don't. So Richard gets down on his knee and he takes his sleeve and he polishes Guy's shoes. And he's talking about it, and he has this certain light in his eyes, and as he's talking about it, and then he goes to Murray. He says, "Well, can you imagine that Guy getting down on his knees and polishing my shoes? That's almost like asking Steve Jobs to go down on his knees and polish my shoes just so I'd buy an iPod." And he goes, "Oh yeah," and then I started flying Virgin right after that. But that is the power of brand management or something like that. And I'm thinking to myself that that's an odd tale to talk about, because it sounded as though Guy was trying to leverage on Richard Branson doing that, and trying to leverage being influenced by this influential person and trying to add it on to his own influence. It was kind of like, okay, you're a kind of influential person yourself. You don't have to sell yourself by using somebody who is more influential than you. Sure, it's a great marketing strategy, and yes, we all know you're a marketeer, but at a more human level, it kind of sounded to me like boasting. And then for the purpose of this webinar, I got curious and I said, okay, let me Google up and let me see if I can find something. And when I Googled, I found out that he talked about it a number of times over the past 4 to 5 years. There are these news stories that go back to 2007 of Guy Kawasaki talking about the story, and he's talked about it over numerous conferences, numerous webinars, numerous webcasts, and he keeps retelling the story over and over. And it was a different thing if he was doing it just once, but he's trying to leverage that over and over to add to his own appeal, which to me sounds shallow, but you'd be surprised how many people are actually influenced by the fact that Guy Kawasaki has a more influential influencer to his influence. And I did not trip over those words, for which I am very proud. And then I actually discovered that there is a picture of him doing just that. And okay, so that's what I'm trying to talk about here. So that's what I'm trying to say, that sometimes you use that kind of leverage. You try to add it to your own self-appeal, to your own self-esteem, to your own social standing by using somebody famous to add to you. So when Deepika Padukone talks about her trainer, which is Yasmin Body Image, and then Yasmin in turn talks about how she trains Deepika, is different because Deepika is a client for Yasmin. So for Yasmin to talk about Deepika as a client is entirely different. But for her to say, Deepika fell down on her knees and said, Yasmin, you're the best goddamn trainer in the world, it's just disturbing. So a couple of days back, the same thing happened on Twitter. Somebody was talking about their experience with a celebrity, and they said, this person's relative called me and said, hey, you're the best person for this job, and Mr. Celebrity loved what you did for them, and we're going to recommend you to somebody else, and blah blah. And they talked at length about it on Twitter, and I was sitting there and I was like, okay, that's really cool that you are influential enough to influence somebody who is influential. But when you go at lengths trying to talk about it and trying to let other people know, it just kind of kills your own credibility. So instead of that adding to your credibility, it kind of kills into it, it kind of rubs into it, it kind of makes it more shallow, and then it really is. So that's it, guys. That's all I have to say about being influenced by the influential. I'd love to hear what you think about it. I'd love to get feedback from you for this webinar and the coming episodes. I'd love to answer any questions that you may have, and most of all, I'd love to come up with more topics for you to talk about. So if there's anything that you want me to talk about, if there's anything that you want to hear from me, you let me know right down there in the comments section. And I'm looking forward to seeing you guys really soon again. Be darlings and retweet this if you can and share it with your friends and family. Give me some encouragement so I keep at it. And remember, if you are being influenced by the influential, that's fine, but try being influential yourself so you have enough influence of your own and don't need anybody else to leverage you. So, on that note, take care and have a great day, and I will see you next time. Adios.